Yes, I withdraw. I withdraw. Honorable Chair, I want to find out from the nominee what is her stance on Article 1281, given the arguments she witnessed here in the conference room.
My Lord.
Honorable Chair, unfortunately, I am not able to identify anyone. I put in a lot of effort and do a lot of research before I settle on a judgment. So they are equally weighted. Thank you.
An opportunity to a lady over there, Honorable
Thank you.
Della Soa.
Thank you so much. Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I want to congratulate the nominee. When
Thank
her
you.
name came up, several of my legal friends spoke very highly of her and her ability to do the work.
Thank you.
She actually reminds me of my younger sister who was in the same institution. She also looks a bit like her. that she's going to be a role model to women and young girls. I watched her carefully when she chose the instrument by which to swear, and she chose the Bible. Am I correct?
That is so, Honorable Chair.
So I want to quote you two verses from the Bible. And the first one is Proverbs 31:9. It says, "Speak out for justice, stand up for the poor and destitute." And the second one, Leviticus 19:15, which says, "Don't pervert justice. Don't show favoritism to either the poor or the great. Judge on the basis of what is right." In other words, don't show favoritism to your appointees and to this committee. I want to find out, how would you deal with your own personal views getting in the way when having to make a judgment that you don't agree with, yet it is correct by the Constitution? How would you deal with that? Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I'm not sure I got the question. You say how I'll deal with a judgment which is correct by the Constitution, but it's against my belief.
Yeah,
No.
that's correct.
Honorable Chair, as you rightly said, I have sworn an oath, and I will always pay fidelity to the oath. My personal views or opinion is not relevant in adjudication because I am bound by the law and by the Constitution, what it says. So I will be perverting the course of justice if I permit my personal opinion to interfere with what the law says at any point in time. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. I also want to find out whether you've ever changed your mind on an issue after having a discussion with somebody else on that issue.
Honorable,
Whether she's ever changed her mind on an issue after having a personal discussion with somebody else on that issue. Whatever issue. Yeah. It could be a ruling. It could be her personal views or a view she holds. And then she talks to somebody else. The person shares his or her views. And as a result, she changes her mind. Has that ever happened to you?
Honorable Chair, respectfully, are you talking about a panel member or a colleague judge?
Not necessarily. You probably have. Okay. So you have a personal view, and then you talk to somebody else, a colleague, a relation, a friend, and then you change your mind on what your personal view is. Have you ever experienced that on any matter, whether it's pending or done with?
Honorable Chair, as a personal view, as I said earlier respectfully, it would not come into my determination of any matter. But if it is a legal view, which I determined in one way, but after possibly, should I say, further research or however, it turned out that I should have determined it in another way, then that is it. And I can't do anything about it. It would have to probably go on appeal, or the person who is dissatisfied would have to appeal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable-
Honorable Chair, this is my third. I have four. I have five, actually.
Please, you cannot ask
Okay,
five
I've asked
questions.
four. Now, we are all human beings, we make mistakes. I want to find out from you, what is the biggest mistake you have made in your career? And how would you seek to avoid it on the bench?
Honorable Chair, I do not recall any big mistake I have made. Thank you.
So any mistake, let me take out big, because we are human beings. You're going to a high bench. So if you've ever made a mistake and they're going to sit on a higher bench, how do you avoid mistakes?
Honorable Chair, if it is a legal mistake, then I would be guided by what the Superior Court says. And that would be it. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay. You have a follow-up. Okay.
Honorable Chair, I wonder if there would ever exist any professional, in any professional grouping, who in the conduct of or practice of their profession, being it medical, construction, legal, education, who will say that they can't remember an action or an inaction that they thought could have, the outcome could have been better if they took a different decision. So it is not an admission that, I mean, anybody who can make mistake is probably difficult. So I mean, as a Supreme Court judge, you're going to be faced with realities of life. So I was hoping that you could be more clear with us that, well, this particular case, from hindsight, I thought this, or this case I did, and it went to a higher court and they reviewed it this way. That's what I was thinking. But when you leave it like that, then I see you as a perfect human being.
Oh, I don't, yes, but I don't think that is the intention. You cannot recollect. That is what he's saying. It could be that he's made a mistake, but you cannot recollect. As we start,
let me make
and
it
it
clearer.
doesn't mean that it's so perfect.
As a follow-up, nominee, as a former High Court judge and currently a Court of Appeal judge, would you say that you've had some of your judgments appealed against successful? And then would you say that you have learned lessons from those appeals that you those judgment that you gave that went on appeal and were successful?
Yes, Honorable Chair. There have been judgments which have been reversed on appeal, and sometimes it's gone further up and reversed again. So, yes, I'll say yes. There are judgments which have been reversed, yes.
Thank you, because I think that brings it to clarity. That's the issue. Maybe it was too personal, but that brings it to clarity. Thank you very much. Honorable, you have your last
but one. Last but one. So, okay, Chairman, can the nominee name a policy, law, regulation that you oppose as a matter of the policy but agree with the Constitution and the President? Any matter, any law, any regulation that you oppose personally, but you agree with it, you agree with it under the current President. Is there any law, any regulation, any policy, that you oppose, but under the Constitution you agree with it? Is there anything like that?
Respectfully, Honorable Chair, none readily comes to mind.
Very much. Let me give another chance to another lady over here, Honorable Gifty. We'll come back.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable nominee, congratulations.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Going through your CV, you are a role model for a lot of women because you have been you've been a chairperson of Gender Equity Committee, Judicial Service, and many positions for women. Are there any personal effort you're making to mentor a number of young ladies to be where you are in the near future? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, I have done that to several young ladies who come my way, and in any grouping or community that I find myself in at any point in time, even sometimes at funerals, you meet the young ladies, and I encourage them to strive higher and better and not to rest on their oars. I do it ever so often, and I encourage so many young girls to aspire to know the law and be judges if they can.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable nominee, again, going through your CV, you've been solicitor for almost all the government-owned energy institutions, TOR, West African Gas Pipeline, VRA, and the likes. Can you share with us some experiences that you had and the need for all of us to be interested of issues about energy and also to understand negotiations and the things we do so far as energy is concerned? Because seeing you through, I say, hey, those woman is powerful because all is about power. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I would say that most issues, or substantially a lot of issues, have arisen because of financial matters. For example, when I was in the Volta River Authority, the dispute we had with the Valco Aluminium Company had to do with financial matters. The disagreements between the parties in respect of tariffs that has to be charged to Valco for the supply of power. When I was in Tema Oil Refinery, there were issues also financial because of the cost of having to buy crude oil and the establishment of letters of credit, loans and interest, and the recovery matters. And yes, generally, those have been the main issues, I would say. But the contracts have been well thought out. Most of the contracts have been well thought out, well drafted. It's just that some issues arise once in a while.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. My last one. Issues about alternative dispute resolution. We keep saying that that one is better and faster than the legal services. Could you spend some time to educate us on the shortfalls, and then the advantages of dispute resolution, alternative dispute resolution, for the public to have very much confidence in that, to ease the court of the numerous cases that we keep adjourning and adjourning? Thank you very much.
Honorable Chair, I understand you to mean the benefits of alternative, yes. Honorable Chair, I'll say alternative dispute resolution being a way of resolving disputes between parties is usually done in private. So the parties are not in the public eye, and there are certain disputes you would want to be determined confidentially. So that's one advantage of alternative dispute resolution. The second is that most times you can, unless you resort to the alternative disputes center, you can choose your arbitrator, which is also something you cannot do in the formal sector. No, ADR is also formal, but in courts, you can't choose your judge. I would also say that it is expeditious, more expeditious than the regular courts system. It is also slightly cheaper. It's not too cheap, but it's slightly cheaper. And then it is also a win-win situation. The judgments, the parties agree. And so that is also advantageous, whereas in court it's adversarial. One person will definitely win and the other person will lose. So it is always good if you are able to resolve your conflicts in a manner where you also have strength. Yes, Honorable Chair, I'll say that those are the advantages, among others, of alternative dispute resolution. And it is not appealable, which is also an advantage, unless it is on a strictly legal matter or under certain specific conditions. It's not appealable, so that also makes it expeditious, or the determination of a final hearing more expeditious than in the regular courts.
Thank you. I'll give the floor to Honorable Abuja to do a follow-up.
Yes, Madam Chair, in the response of the nominee on her vast experience with oil and gas sector and others, she mentioned her role in managing the legal part of some contracts, and she mentioned letters of credit and others. Is she able to share with us what her understanding of a letter of credit between two parties is? What is a letter of credit supposed to do between two parties in a contract?
Honorable Chair, a letter of credit is a financial instrument issued by a bank where it undertakes to give credit to a transaction by the person who applies for it, and there are certain terms and conditions and restrictions on it, and when the conditions fall due or when they are complied with, then the monies are dispensed, or the terms of the letters of credit are activated by the issuer.
So letters of credit can't, I mean, well, in your experience, obviously very vast experience, you couldn't write a contract and as part of that contract, as you said, introduce a letter of credit, and then a party unilaterally invokes or cashes the letter of credit without fulfilling preconditions also stated in the contract?
I just want to, with your leave, attempt an understanding of Honorable Minority Whip's question, since we are all participating in these proceedings. First of all, in context, is he making reference to a matter, the subject matter of any civil or criminal trial, or he's being very hypothetical? Because I've dealt with financial instruments extensively myself. My whole practice as a lawyer, I dealt with financial crime law as my area of specialization. And I know a lot about financial instruments, just to enable us to appreciate. And I know that my lady at the commercial court dealt with a lot of instruments and all. So if he could put it in context, because I'm trying to follow his question. So that if it's about, for instance, if we want to use, just a second, if for instance I want to use Honorable Forson's case as example, since they've finished with it, it can be a good example if you have all the facts with you.
No, not at all. No. Oh, I'll stay away. Yes.
I don't think we have an understanding that the nominee is having any difficulty to understand the question you put across. If not, if you have a difficulty, please state it so that it can be rephrased properly.
Not in respect of her. I was for it.
Frankly, the respected majority leader, this is not directed at you. The question was directed to the nominee. The nominee has not indicated that he has any problem whatsoever in answering the question. So please allow her to just answer the question.
Don't worry. Leader, myself, I have project managed contracts that whose financing depends on letters of credit quite extensively as well. What I am trying to find out is it normal for the state or state agencies to write contracts which include letters of credit, and in the composition of those contracts, make it easy for the drawer of the letter of credit to unilaterally draw down the credit without a corresponding prior approval of the client? So I'm not making this specifically to any particular case.
Honorable Beba, please. Yes, you have to situate your question appropriately. There should be some clarity on that, because I think there's a yes, standards. Yes, there are conditions yes, so that you adhere purposely to the terms and conditions of the letters of credit. But if you situate your question on a particular issue, then we will be able to answer, because the drawdown and all those issues, and I think if you can bring some clarity to it, then we will ask them, because I don't think he has a very good understanding of the question you are putting up. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just a few minutes ago, you suggested that the nominee understood the question I asked, and we were trying to rule out the majority leader. But then you quickly turn around and yourself are saying that the nominee doesn't understand the question, and you're answering it on her behalf.
Thank you, because
anyway, let's move on. Let's move on.
When you repeated the question, it was a bit confusing. So that if I have to come in and ensure that you have clarity on that question, I will prove you. That was a follow-up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to use the opportunity to congratulate the nominee on her nomination.
Thank you.
I have gone through your CV, and as a woman, I'm proud to see a fellow woman seated there.
Thank you.
Please ignore leader. I've seen your leadership positions held, and one of them, or of the key areas, is gender equity, a committee, one of the committees you've chaired. I want to find out from you, Madam Chair, your experience as a woman so far in the positions you've occupied in this legal practice. Your experience that can guide other women. I think you've heard, especially the ladies, being proud of you and happy to see you there. So if there are women like us watching, what has been your experience so far at the apex of your career?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, as my CV shows, I have been a state attorney and worked in corporate before joining the bench. You go through, at the beginning, you go through, should I say some slight, I won't say bullying, but you are not taken seriously. And so, as a woman, you need to actually work hard, make sure you are on top of your area of expertise to be able to deliver advice which cannot be challenged. I say this particularly because I worked in predominantly male institutions when I was in VRA and Tamaoya refinery, mainly dominated by men and engineers. And so you need to work extra hard to make sure that you first understand the work of the institution and the engineering aspects to be able to give legal advice, which they would appreciate, understand, and accept. So I would say it is a lot of hard work. And on the bench as well, you cannot afford to be indolent. You must work very hard, spend sleepless nights trying to understand the brief or the case, doing serious research on your own in order to be able to render good judgments at all times. And then you will begin to gain the respect of your peers and other people who may become exposed to either your ruling, or your decision, or your advice. So if it's an advice to young ladies, I'll say it's hard work. And hard work pays.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the key leadership theories or principles, if I should so say, is for leaders to produce after their kind. May I find out from the nominee what measures, if any, you are putting in place to make sure, ensure that there are women who will be not just encouraged by seeing you, but also be coached, handheld into positions that you have passed through, basically stepping in your stead when you've...
When they are in any difficulty, and they try to emulate you as best as possible. I would say that apart, I have a few young girls who also, both financially and by way of advice and direction, so that they achieve their best potential. There was a time when we also had some engagement with head porters. We had an interaction with them and asked them their needs, advised them, encouraged them to aspire for higher levels. And that is what we have done. We do several other things, but These are a few.
Okay. With your position, this is just a suggestion. Probably with your colleagues, it will be good to also look at how the state, takes formal steps in ensuring that these shelters are professionally taken care of and also resourced to be able to serve the people. Madam Chair, my final one is on filing fees for non-maintenance. I don't know what the situation is, but for most women, especially where I come from, along the coast, where we have lots of non-maintenance cases, women have always had challenges paying for the filing fees. What will be your expert advice or guidance in this regard? Thank you.
Honorable Chair, if there's a legal aid office around your area, maybe they can visit those offices and obtain assistance. There are times when we also encourage lawyers to take on pro bono cases to assist people who are unable to obtain justice because they are financially delinquent.
Madam Chair, follow up. Looking at, I'm not looking at a favor being done the people or the women who go for the maintenance cases. I'm looking at a position where the fee is waived. I mean, from your experience and position, is it possible to, advocate passionately for the waiver of the fee so that they will not be at the mercy of anybody, but they know it is their right to go there and file without paying for the fees? Thank you.
Honorable Chair, in my position, that may be difficult for me to do. Honorable Chair, that may be difficult because the fees have been agreed or set out by whoever is supposed to do that, and it's beyond me, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. I'm giving the floor to Honorable Edie to.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, let me first of all congratulate the nominee and also to share with her the stress she went through during our debates that led to arguments. Honorable Chair, let me refer to the CV of the nominee. She's a family woman. And if you look at the cases she decided on, you can imagine the efforts that she put in getting those decisions written. How does she reconcile family management with her career as a judge?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I would say it's a very serious balancing act. I am fortunate to have my husband who is there, very supportive, very understanding, and does not get into my way at all, gives me sufficient time as possible to do my work, and I reciprocate. I just have to find time within my time to make sure I do my duties as a wife and as a professional woman. So I would say it is a matter of balancing and knowing and prioritizing, actually. Thank you.
So do you have an aide?
Honorable Chair, I don't have an aide.
Thank you.
Sorry, that's an aid for the housework. Domestic, no, I don't have a domestic help. My daughter is here, she helps me in the kitchen too sometimes, yes.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, let me refer the nominee to Article 1442 that brought her here. There are 4 steps in getting a justice, any other justice, to the Supreme Court nominated. The President is 1. The Judicial Council, 2. The Council of State, 3. Then Parliament, here, 4. In your opinion, did the President breach any of the steps in nominating you?
Honorable Chair, as far as I know, I appeared before the Judicial Council for an interaction with them. I later on was informed that it had also passed through the Council of States, and then I was invited to come here. So that is as far as I know.
I have a last question. Last one. Ghana Legal Council. Ghana legal systems. The critics of Ghana legal systems has it that Ghana currently, our system is suffering from what they term as schizophrenia. That is to say that we've lost touch with reality. I just need your opinion. They do so referring to the case of Tufo and Attorney General. Then recently, the Justice Abdullahi case. Now the critics have it that once the Supreme Court departed from its earlier stance, and then now the Justice Abdullahi case, the danger is that the next moment the Supreme Court would have to come, might interfere even in the deliberation and the decision of cabinets, and even the deliberation of the courts. What's your opinion?
Honorable Chair, I will say that those cases which have been determined by the Supreme Court constitute the law. And I cannot be speculative or have an idea as to what may or may not happen subsequently. But that is the position of the law as at now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable. So I'm giving you a privilege. So it's only 2 questions that I expect you to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, thank you that even though you deny me right to vote, you've given me 2 questions at least. I sincerely appreciate that. Honorable Chair, I also want to congratulate the nominee for her nomination, and I sincerely wish her the very best once she successfully goes through the process. Honorable Chair, I've taken time to look at the background of the nominee, and I am particularly excited about how active she has been when it comes to gender-based matters, especially working in a capacity as the chairman of users of Committee on Gender-Based Violence and Juvenile Justice for the Northern and Southern sectors, and also the chairman of the Gender Equity Committee in the Judicial Service. Honorable Chair, my question borders on some practices in parts of Ghana where elderly women, often accused of being witches, are lynched, and this practice is so prevalent in our system today. Parliament last year took steps to criminalize the whole process of witchcraft accusation and determining who a witch is, and so on and so forth. The president is yet to sign that bill. What is your view on the need to protect vulnerable aged women, particularly when it comes to this issue of witchcraft accusation?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I very much support the position that the weak and vulnerable in the society, particularly elderly women, children, minorities, and all those other people who need legal protection, should be protected with all the force and power which it's necessary to ensure that, because they also have rights.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, my second quick question will be, yes, you are right. Having been a very experienced judge over the years and now rising to the Supreme Court, what would be your position on the advocacy for non-custodial sentences for petty crimes, particularly misdemeanors?
Honorable Chair, I would agree that non-custodial sentences should be legislated on, because it's not, firstly, to decongest the prisons, and it's not every, so crimes are intended to reform, and you don't need to be incarcerated in order to reform. So non-custodial sentences are very useful, and I would encourage them.
Congratulations once more and all the very best. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Kojo Asante, I give the floor to you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I realized that on 2012, August, you embarked on a familiarization visit to the District Court of Columbia, and then on the same August 2017 too, you went to the Superior Court of Arizona in the USA. Do you have any lessons to share with us that at least it could help to uplift the image of our court system? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I would say that firstly, I realized that they were fully digitized, which means that the interface between the public and judicial officers was reduced to a minimum. I also observed that